Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. This is my review for Lady and the Tramp, which is the fourth movie in the Silver Age of Disney animation and was released in 1955. Now, even though this movie is still considered part of the Silver Age, it actually marked the beginning of a lot of new things. For one, this is the first Disney movie not to be released through RKO. Instead, it's through Disney's own distribution company, Buena Vista. It's the first Disney animated movie not to feature the 9 old men as animation directors. It was the first animated movie to be presented in CinemaScope, and it also came out the same year as the grand opening of Disneyland. This movie came out in June of 1955, and Disneyland opened the following month, July. So historically, this movie is very important for Disney, but the movie itself is just fine. The plot involves two dogs from different social classes who meet, start to fall in love, bond with each other, and that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to this movie. It's got a lot of the good things that made the other movies in this era in particular stand out, like the animation, which this movie really does pop in terms of the animation, the colors. Out of the 4 movies in this era so far, this and Alice in Wonderland are the brightest and most vibrant in terms of their color palette. And the decision to present this movie in CinemaScope definitely makes it a more unique film than the prior ones, and because it's a period piece set in 1909, it makes every shot of this movie look like something you could frame in an art museum. It's that good. The two main characters of the movie, Lady and Tramp, are both charming. They have good personalities. They're a lot of fun, but I also really admire the fact that when they first meet, it's not love at first sight. Unlike some of the other Disney princess movies that have come beforehand, this movie kind of builds up the romance, and when they first meet, they are total strangers, and Lady just thinks that Tramp's presence is a one-off thing and that she's never going to see him again. But then as the movie goes on and situations require them to meet up again, they start to form a bond, they have a falling out, and by the end of the movie, they live happily ever after. Funny how it took a pair of dogs to build Disney's first believable romance than human characters. That's pretty sad. If I had one problem with the relationship between Lady and Tramp, it's that the movie builds this relationship up on the fact that they're from different social classes. But there's really not a lot of depth beyond that. Lady doesn't view Tramp's lifestyle as something that she's looked down upon unfairly, and Tramp is suddenly taken in by Lady's masters without him realizing that, oh, maybe this upper class society living is good. Tramp does imply that he's had many owners previously that have abandoned him, so being a stray mutt is just a better lifestyle for him. But the only thing that keeps me from seeing this as a real issue is that the chemistry between the two characters is just so charming, and the situations they find themselves in are very fun, especially the iconic spaghetti sequence, with maybe the most memorable song of the movie. The score itself is once again done by Oliver Wallace, and it's still really good. It's not quite as catchy as Alice in Wonderland or Peter Pan, but it gets the job done. Some of the other side characters are fun, like Jock, Trusty, some of the other stray dogs that Tramp is friends with. And then you also have Jim Dear and Darling, which I'm certain are not those humans' real names, but we'll just go with it. However, one aspect about all the human characters in this movie is that while most of them are shown in full, you get to see their faces and everything, with Darling and Jim Dear, most of the time their faces are hidden and they don't really show them a whole lot. So I thought it was a creative decision at first to basically show the world from Lady's eyes and how she looks at her masters. It's just like what they did with E.T. with the adult characters. With the exception of Dee Wallace, you never see any of the adult faces up until we're introduced to Peter Coyote's character and the government agents come in. But then there are parts in the movie where they'll briefly show Jim Dear and Darling's faces, so I don't know if that was just a goof up or if hiding their faces for a majority of the movie wasn't a creative decision that they actually were dedicated to. It's hard to tell. So overall, I found the movie very charming. It's not one of the best that Disney's made, but it's nowhere near one of the worst. It's beautifully animated. It has a really nice art style that I think is enhanced more to the aspect ratio rather than a different art style altogether. And I do love the chemistry and the romance between the two main characters. The biggest problem I have again, has to go back to racism. And this movie actually has a lot of stereotypes. You have the two Italians at the restaurant, Tony and Joe, and then you have a Mexican stereotype in the Pound, you have a Russian one, but the one that everyone seems to focus on and point to in a negative light are the two Siamese cats. And for good reason, because they really do have a thick Asian accent. And I will say this in defense of, I don't want to say the cats themselves, but the movie. They aren't in it for very long. They're in one scene and then they're gone. It's not like in Peter Pan where even though they're gone, they continue to dominate the middle of the movie. No, they're in one scene where they pretty much wreck the house, and Aunt Sarah, because she is the absolute worst house sitter on the planet, blames it on the dog, this well-behaved dog, and not her two cats, which between this movie and 1977's House, cats are evil. I'm sorry to my cat who's back there sleeping somewhere. They can be lovable, but a lot of the times they are scheming and they are evil. So as a rating, I'd say it's good, but it's not great. There's not a whole lot in this movie that I dislike outside of the two Siamese cats, but there's also nothing about this movie that made me go, wow, or made me fall in love with it, like with Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan. I can safely say that those two movies are my favorite in the Silver Age, and with the rest of the movies in this particular era, that's not going to change. But Lady and the Tramp is probably my third favorite. It's really good and doesn't have a lot of major problems, but at the same time, it's more of a middle-tier Disney movie in my opinion. Now, I actually did watch a little bit of the 2019 remake of Lady and the Tramp, and I only lasted 30 minutes in. Not because I think it was terrible, but because it was following a lot of the beats of the original movie. I thought to myself, is this worth continuing? Because it's got some really great production design. I love the score and how it's different from Oliver Wallace's score in the original. And the cast is great, both the voice actors and the live action actors. But from what I've seen, it didn't seem that ambitious enough or even different enough for me to want to continue. So if you've seen the remake, I'm curious to know, is it worth finishing? But regardless of that, there you go. This has been my review for Lady and the Tramp, the animated one from 1955. Next week we're going to be tackling one of Disney's greatest achievements in terms of animation and art style, Sleeping Beauty. What I have to say about the movie itself beyond the technical aspects is something that you'll have to wait and see next week. But until then, I want to know what you guys think about Lady and the Tramp. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one. Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching my review for Lady and the Tramp. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on social media, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go check out my Twitch channel and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.